Okay, good. So I don't have to scream, yeah?
No. Okay. All right. So on and off, because I'm the admin, so on and off, I need to go out and admit people into the group discussion. But please don't stop the conversation. We can just get the ball, the conversation going. So a good morning to everyone. Okay. So first of all, thank you for being here today. And we have 3 experts, okay, including myself. Okay. Nanti dia ingat I ni moderator je. Okay, so this session is for us to share our mental, emotional, and physical during these 6 days. Okay, so a brief introduction first. We have Puan Hani Razif Bolender. Hani, carry your hand.
Hi.
Okay. There will be cats moving around, so don't get shocked. Okay, all right. Hani is popularly known as the career doctor for her coaching work with individual clients in their quest to find clarity, happiness, and fulfillment in their career journey. As co-founder and GM of Dragonfire Corporate Solutions in Berhad, a KL-based management consulting firm, Hani brings her skill, experience, clarity, and empathy to address client needs in the area of organizational effectiveness, change management, courageous conversation for performance, and conflict management. All right, through talent and career management. Okay. Second, we have Dr. Hazli. Dr. Hazli, angkat tangan. Okay. Okay. Dr. Hazli is a psychiatrist and lecturer at PPUKM. He is also the visiting psychiatrist at Avicenna Hospital Shah Alam and also president of Malaysian Psychiatry Association. All right, so Dr. Hazli has a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill, a lot of experience dealing with people who is going through mental illnesses. All right, and lastly, you have me, Sangeeta, okay, founder of Emerging Journey Asia and also Yayasan Health on World. I'm also a licensed counselor. All right, so if you have watched my video, I always say your mental health advocate, and at the end I will end it with reach out, speak out. So that's me, yeah. Okay, and then what we do is our company is a human capital development registered with HRDF and Ministry of Finance, where we conduct training, workshops, counseling, coaching, psychometric assessment in various industries such as oil and gas industry, finance and banking, hospitality, and many more. So please join and subscribe our Emerging Asia YouTube channel, Facebook and LinkedIn. So today's session will be recorded and I will post it later in YouTube. All right. So without holding everyone, let's start. Okay. So we have been going before COVID-19. We were like, all over. We are doing our normal life. We are going through our, tasks, our socializing and all. So when right now we have this crisis where we need to distance ourselves. We need to, besides social distancing, I also say emotional distancing. All right. So with this, can we have, 3 of us, we're just gonna come in and discuss, yeah? We doesn't need to be like, okay, honey and all that. So feel free to just join in because this is a conversational webinar. It doesn't need to be too structured because during these 5 days, we're going to talk about so many things with so many experts. And those of you who have just logged in, please mute your audio and your video. And if you have questions, please write it down in the chat session and I will read it out loud. Okay? So please, Dr. Hazli. How do
Oh,
we manage? Yes.
how do I manage, or how do how does the patients manage? So,
Okay, how do
okay,
we manage first?
do we manage? Okay, hi, Sanjita, hi, Hani, hi,
Hi.
everyone. Yeah, it's nice to see all of you. I'm representing Malaysian Psychiatric Association. It's a society for the psychiatric represent psychiatrists in Malaysia. Of course, our part of the puzzle of our job is try to promote, to create more awareness about mental health, mental illness, because we believe that there is no health without mental health, and important for us to maintain the level of mental health as important as the physical health. So that is what we are aiming for. And also about the mental illness also, we want to promote saying that mental illness, like any other physical illness, is treatable and the treatment is effective. And my patient is about prevention, because I have seen so many patients. So I think I always believe that we can do more if we can do a lot of preventive measures so that we don't have many patients. So this is an example how we can do a lot of preventive measure. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what happened when this COVID or coronavirus came to us is kind of an attack. It's a threat. When we are facing something that we are not familiar, we do not know what they are and how should we deal about it, and then we started to be nervous about it, to be unsure, start to worry a lot about how are we going to cope, how are we going to handle this. And then the first reaction is always shock and denial. And then we try to avoid. Because of this, it's a normal reaction. So that is the reason we can observe during the first phase is when people start to having this panic buying, because they want to ensure that they have enough. They try to be in the phase of protecting themselves. Is a survival mode. So whatever that reaction or response that we have actually is a normal physiological and psychological reaction to a threat. It's nothing unusual about it. But we have to remember that some of us is not just like a normal individual, but we are being challenged with having a poor mental health, or some of us even more than just a poor mental health. They have a mental illness. It's either they're being treated or untreated. So that's the reason I asked this now, whether it's I reacting or we reacting, who are we talking about? Because different person respond or react differently. And whatever reaction or response that they have is normal for that individual. So that is important. My message is, don't judge. We have to remember that is all the physiological and psychological reaction to a threat, which is known as COVID-19.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hazli. Yeah, I mean, when the Prime Minister announced that, okay, March 18 will be the day where everybody need to, restrict your movement, and there's a lot of panic buying, and some of us don't really panic buy. We'll just let everything to settle and all that. And I like to address also the way we manage our mental is also different, because it also relates to your personality. Some personality, they feel that, okay, I need to grab everything, I need to blast, I need to make sure. But some personality, they feel that, okay, I'm just going to cool about it, let everything settle before I go out and do or think that what's need to be done. Okay. In terms of organization and employee, Honey, what do you think?
Well, after the 18th of March announcement of RMO, I find that my days are getting longer, Sangeeta.
Yes,
Simply
yes.
because I can tell you why. Simply because You know, there's about 200 to 300 over 1,000 unemployed Malaysians out in the market, and everybody is scrambling to find jobs. Can you imagine, you know, pre-March 18, people are just worried about where to get jobs and all that. And some layoff, I've seen some layoff as well. But after March 18th, we're seeing an influx of clients coming in to our way. People are worried. People just don't know what to do. Interview sessions are stopped, pushed, rescheduled. People are worried, you know, if this is going to happen for the next few months. Never mind that jobs are quite scarce, I would say. You know, the roles that they're looking for are quite scarce. What if they can't go out and at an interview? What if organizations or companies are not doing recruitment? But you know, this is my message. Even though we are under RMO for the past many weeks, but I'm also seeing an influx of companies who are still recruiting. And in fact, this is a perfect time to review your CV, to connect with friends, network, and for organization, this is a time when they can really sit down and look at a different strategy of recruitment, because everybody's at home. So there is no way they can say, I can't get hold of any candidate, or the candidate is not there. The candidates are there. It's just that they need to be a little bit creative in looking for these people. People are looking for jobs and organizations are looking for people. Perfect time. We just need to think a little bit differently. And you know what? Just to quickly share with everyone, I feel very happy to announce this. And in fact, I've written this in my LinkedIn. Two of my clients had just secured a job. One has started a job a few days ago, and this is during RMO. You know, I mean, if these two can secure a job, there's always opportunities. You know, we always have to think about the silver lining. If you think a little bit differently, they just keep on moving. You know, and somebody just started work today. Yeah, so it's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I comment a bit on what Hani have said? It's a very interesting, Hani. But you just demonstrate how should we cope during this time.
Yes.
First, we have to acknowledge and accept that this is a bad thing. Yeah, a lot of unemployment. Yeah, but we don't. We're not going to dwell on the negative consequences of this. Yes, but we have to accept first, and we also have to accept and embrace the feeling that we have. Insecure, feeling anxious,
yes.
That is also normal as well. And then we have to embrace it, experience it. But we have also to focus on what are the things that we can do now. And to think out of the box and to think creatively. So you just demonstrate one of the strategies that we can adopt during this current situation.
Absolutely, Dr. Hazli. And some of the questions that I would pose to my clients are this. Okay, so let's talk about the areas that you cannot control right now. So they will tell me things like, oh, I can go out, I can get this, I can get that, I cannot do this and that. All right, so let's talk about the things that you can control that no one else can tell you otherwise. So they can say, okay, I can email, I can call, I can WhatsApp, or whatever, you know. So these are the areas where they can take charge, where they have to acknowledge both sides. So the minute they look at the list of the things they are in control, it gives them more empowerment, I would say. I hate to use the word empowerment, but you know what I'm saying. You know, they can say,
that's the right word. That's the right word, honey.
It's too cliche, I think. I think I think it's very important, like you say, you know, to acknowledge the fact that yeah, we have this problem, but then a lot of people tend to react instead of respond.
Yes.
They just flip. So my suggestion is for those who are in this current scenario, you know, worry and all that. I know it's kind of fight or flight scenario, but take a moment, you know, think a little bit more about it and figure out the things that you can take charge, you can control.
Yeah,
I
that
think
is
there's a lot of things. Yeah.
that is why in my video and most of my engagement with clients and all that, I always tell them to take a 3-second pause. Why a 3-second pause? Because and then when you have the 3-second pause, you have the 3R behind. That is reflect, re-evaluate, and react. Okay, because when you start to reflect, you will know, is this something a short term or long term? Okay, and you re-evaluate whether is this something that I need to do right now, or can I just put it aside because it's not my priority, or should I express my anger when I was like having conversation and then suddenly, you know, my child comes in and then I'll be screaming and shout, get out, I'm doing my work, you know. And third, to react. So is this a positive reaction or is this a negative reaction? So the 3-second pause is because 3 seconds you can do a lot of things. All right. And another question that I have that during my session and people ask, it's about now they have the fear that they might lose their job and also self-worth. We came back to what Dr. Hazli was saying earlier.
Okay.
Kan?
Okay. Before I answer that question, Sajita,
Yes.
I would like to just reflect a bit what you have said. Remember that you just said that about 3R, yeah?
Yeah.
That you has been preaching about 3R for a long time, yeah?
Yeah.
But people sometimes they don't do it. But
Nope.
in fact, we can look, yeah, this COVID-19, this MCO is an opportunity for everyone that you have been taught about 3R to practice doing it. So
Yes.
if we think, yeah, so this is the like how the nature force us to take
Yeah.
this opportunity to practice 3R. Or to practice my
True.
this, whatever that we also has been preaching our clients, our patients. Now is a time for us to do it for ourselves.
Yes.
And also, is this the time for us really walking the talk, reflect, reaction, and then do all of this.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, come back to the question that you asked. People really worry because about whether they're going to have job when they're going back, right? Right now, yeah, I'm telling you, everyone can't wait to go back to work. Everyone excited about working. You find the irony of it. Last time they complained about going to the office, going to work. Now they are so looking forward to go to work. Unfortunately, not many of us are lucky enough to know whether they still have the job, how long they are going to be employed. So again, these are all the normal things to worry about. That is something where if we don't worry about it, we are not human in the first place because there's something important. But the problem is how much we worry about it. How long are we going to think about it? Let's come back to what Hani said just now. It's no point worry and thinking about something that we are not able to control and not able to do something about it. So that is I always call it, is not a smart worry. How to worry smartly. So that is a skill that we need to do or need to have actually.
Yes.
We need to worry, but how to worry smartly.
How to worry smart. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because most of us worry unnecessarily.
Exactly, but we have to remember again that is important for us to realize and take note also. People who are not having anxiety disorder and people who have anxiety disorder, the way they react to adversities is different. So we cannot take like one template apply to everybody. People have a different tools. People cope differently. So as a administrator, as a HR HR personnel, they have to be aware about it. Everyone is unique, as everyone is different, everyone have weaknesses and also their strength. And please don't use ourselves as a reference point to see or to know whether this is the right response or reaction or not. Most of the time, we did that. We forget that people different. We always say this. I have two children. I also worry about my job, but I still can cope. Why can't you cope? So that is always something that happen that make people even more stressed, anxious, and worried.
Yes. And this is common because not only in HR, if you look at it, every head of department, every individual need to address this, that, you know, what works for me might not work for you. Okay? This is very, very important. And another thing that I've always tell, nothing personal, because we are diverse, right? We are diverse. When we are diverse, the way we approach things, the way we look at things are totally different. So you need to understand if the information that we are gathering or certain ideas or solution that is given to us, it's not relevant. So don't take it too personal and have a conflict with another individual, okay? Because most organizations, they are not prepared to manage people who have issues, okay? Whether it's depression, anxiety, they are not, because they are not trained. They are trained according to the job scope. They are trained according to their passion or their career. That is why it's important that we should not put ourselves into that individual shoe and say, you need to do this, you need to do that. The word need, should, must be out of your vocab. Yeah.
And Sanjana, it's funny, yeah, because right now I'm in Avicenna Hospital, and then their motto is, with us is always personal.
Oh. Jaga-jaga, nanti personal benda lain.
No, that's what the Avicenna Hospital's motto is. They try to make personalized service to their patients.
Yeah, personalized service, correct,
No,
correct, yes.
I'm not being paid for saying that, yeah.
No, we are all sharing knowledge, and for the audience, again, the way we approach our discussion ideas will all be different, and some of you can link with us easily, some of you might not, but it's okay, because you take the points that work for you, and when you share it, you say that, okay, these are the things, and you can just share it all over. And if the person feels that, okay, this is something that I can do for myself, please go ahead. Okay, I have another okay, so how are we preparing, okay, how are we preparing employees or staff to go back to work? I'm sure that, okay, we are all eager to go out, you know, meet your friends, have your kopi time, your tea time and all that, but how are we preparing ourselves mentally, since for what, 3 weeks or more, we have been in tune that social distancing, COVID, and now I'm sure COVID stereotype will be out there, right? If you have family members or anyone tested, so it's another stereotype and stigma will be out there. So how do we manage, or how do we share whatever that we know to prepare people to be out there?
Can I say something about this, Sangeeta?
Yes, both of you. So Hani first, yes.
Okay. My thought is this, and this is based from my conversation with quite a number of members in the HR fraternity. And we're also at the same time doing some work for organizations who are looking at restructuring, unfortunately, for the next 3 to 6 months. So some of the things that I see where I really like this approach is to make sure the communication is open, the communication channel is open. Not only that it should be open, but it's often. communication channel is often and open, meaning for everything that is concerning the employees, the organizational structure, if there's any restructuring, if there's any heads up, for instance, on changes in terms of role, etc., etc. These should be communicated really well and as often as it is, within 3 to 6 months. I think very important, and I also think this is organization social obligation to make sure that their employees are prepared for anything that comes, because I'm very sure things will change when they come back to work. Like you say, there's the social distancing, there's the work structure. I know for a fact that my own daughter, for instance, her company has issued a memo to everyone by saying that, hey, you know what, everything has kind of worked for the past 2 weeks. Everybody's almost everyone is staying at home. But those of you who wants to still stay back, you may now have option to stay back. But of course, with some changes to the structure, changes to this and that. So what I'm saying is things will definitely change. So perhaps this is a time when we have for organization to really think about what will change and really sit down, write it down and communicate, and do not think that is just the role of an HR or finance and all that. Just a few days ago, I read about this company who actually, the founder of this organization, he when he looked at his company, he knows that within the next 6 months he's going to bungkus. Okay, he's going to wrap up. If he doesn't keep, if he allows everyone to be still in the organization. So he said that's not going to do it, because he has worked with these people. These are beautiful people. So what he did was he did a town hall. He called everybody and he asked for help. He asked for help from all of his employees by asking, look guys, what can we do? So reach out. This is not the responsibility of just the company or business owners. This is responsibility for everybody. Just imagine 6 down the road, if the company bungkus, if the company wraps, everybody is on the losing end.
Yeah.
So, me as a business owner, you as a business owner, for instance, we understand this well. We work hard for the company, we work hard for everything else. But as an employee as well, we work hard for the company as well. But can you imagine if we don't meet halfway, towards the end of it all, there's no company, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
There's no win-win situation.
There's nothing. Yeah, so everybody's at the losing end. I think this is where the conflict needs to be addressed and communicated well. I know it sounded quite easy at this point of time. It's not. I've seen really totally, conflicting approaches to all of this. But if the end goal is to make sure everybody sustains for the next 12 months, then for God's sake, do something, and really talk about it.
Okay, Dr. Hazli?
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very well said, Hani. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I think that's the topic for today is how to prepare our employees to go back to work. Okay, that is the key word, is how to prepare. That is also an important word, because for people who have anxiety, they always overly prepare.
Yes.
For them, he already started thinking about what's going to happen to them, not after this MCO finish, but they're already thinking about what's going to happen for them next year, in 5 years' time. This is all unnecessarily worry that cause the anxiety to get worse. So this is the example of how I said just now, how to worry smartly. Because when we worry about whether am I going to be laid off, am I going to get back, my job or still being employed, if we continue just thinking about it over and over time, it doesn't matter when we think about that over 30 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours. It's not going to make any changes or not going to change the outcome.
Yeah.
Despite that we have been thinking for so long. But somehow they give a kind of false reassurance to us that things are going to get better, which is not going to be the case, because every time we think, we worry about this, we use a lot of energy, resources. That's the reason after not doing anything during this MCO, just thinking and worry, we feel tired, like we are doing a bit, like we are running around the lake for 2 or 3 round. So people didn't realize that worry is work, is a lot of thing that they're going to utilize. But what they can do is, again, Hani just said just now, focus what happening around us right now. Am I still being employed? Yes. Did I receive any memos or anything that suggestive that my job is not secure? But don't try to look for that. Don't try to investigate. That is going to make you even more worried. But you did not receive any email. You did not receive any memo. You ask your colleague, did you receive? If they did not receive also, that's okay. Stop at that. But if you continue and try to be the investigator, then we're going to end up worry even more. So focus what we can do, what we can control. And Hani mentioned also, this is the time for us to improve our CV, make a connection, make a networking. It will be surprised that even though during this social distancing, we still can be connected. In fact, this is the opportunity for us to be psychologically connected. This is the time that you should connect your old friend, say how, and then make a promise after this MCO, we are going to meet up, have some dinner. And so this is the thing that what we can do instead of just purely, solely worry about, am I going to be employed or not after this, which is not going to help us. I think that is what we need to do, to talk about it, to communicate, to share, to open up. That's how we can do to reduce our anxiety about going back to work.
Okay. Another thing, there's another thing also that, if you look at it, most of, not most, some organization, they cannot work from home, all right? For example, if you have a call center where data, when you talk about PDPA, it must be confined in the organization. So this employee, you know, they cannot work from home. So instead of you know, looking at all the social media, looking at pictures, images that might disturb you, you could channel this energy to upskill yourself, to learn new language, to learn, you know, to read, to create something more meaningful, find meaning of life, purpose of life, and like what, you know, our Dr. Hazli and Hani mentioned. CV, when is the last time you update your CV? So for those who cannot bring work, it's not like, you know, you're on holiday, okay? Even though most of us still thinks that it's a holiday, okay? But this is the time, this is a moment to really understand how can I improve myself, how can I be better, because there's a lot of platform out there who gives a lot of opportunity for people to explore and expand. Yeah, so look into that.
Sangeeta, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Can I say something to that? Unfortunately, I know that I've said this way earlier in my conversation with everyone. Unfortunately, during this time, there are also organizations who are already in plan to restructure their companies for the next within the next 3 to 6 months, and this is going to affect quite a number of hundreds. In fact, we are already starting to do this with some clients. So may I share with everyone a few tips during this downtime? Number one, for those of us who are in the know that they might not be able to see their paycheck for the next few months, what they need to do first is to look at, to scan the horizon in terms of where their financial situation is. Consolidate all their financial obligations plus all the resources, money in hand, money somewhere else, the bantuan that the government is going to give out through hasil, through EPF, whatever. Look at where your financial situation is. That's the first. The goal is to make sure there's food on the table. Number one. Number two, look at what are the expenses that they can trim off. If they are paying Netflix at 55 ringgit a month, and if this is not essential, then maybe something that you don't have to pay. But then on another hand, I also think that, you know, 55 ringgit for that little happiness for us in during these bleak days, if it makes sense to you, then you say that this is essential for my mental wellness. So put that. So it depends on what you want to see or how you want to see it. I know this is kind of difficult, but Malaysians love food. They like to buy this and that. You know, food is very important. But I think this is where those who are going to be downsized or their work is going to be affected within the next few months is to look at how they do their spending. It's, yeah, kind of tough, but at the same time, I think this is also a good time where you need to review all of this, and at the same time scan the horizon where the opportunities may lie. So just, you know, a quick thought, because I know there will be a few hundreds who will not be seeing their paycheck for the next few months.
Yeah.
And that's painful, you know. That's
Okay,
really painful.
thanks, Hani. So I have a question here from Just Deep. Hi, Dr. Sangeeta. Thank you for the invite to this talk. It's been very insightful. I have a question for Dr. Hazli. May he elaborate on preventive measures for mental health and the best way to identify that a person is having a mental issue and prompts them to seek help? So, Dr. Hazli?
Wow. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question. It means that we need to extend for another hour to answer that question, unfortunately.
We have tomorrow. We have another session tomorrow, right? Till Friday.
Yeah, but I think it's a very good question. You know why? Because all this while we are only focusing on treating. We are very lacking in terms of preventions and rehabilitations, because patients with having psychiatric illness, yeah, because psychiatric illness is a lot, because some kind of mild and moderate illness, they are able to go back to workforce easily if we treat them early. So when we are talking about prevention, we are talking about primary preventions before the illness even started, or secondary prevention when the illness, early detection of the illness so that we can prevent the complication. And the third, the primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention when the patients already have an illness, how to mitigating the complication or limit the complications. So there are a lot of prevention measures that we can do depend on where the phase of the illness that this patient has. When we are talking about prevention, I would say that the best one is we are looking into even before we were born, meaning that we have to equip our community. Everyone wants to be a parent. They have to have a good parenting skill. How do we know to be a good father, good mother? We just learn from other people's mistakes and try to avoid it. Some of us do or read all the self-help book, but how many of us like to read? So the idea is we are talking about we can do a lot of things to even prevent. Looking at during the pregnancy, after the pregnancy part, when the moment that with the resources that we have right now, I think it's early intervention, detect early, prevent the delay for getting the right diagnosis. Most of us get the diagnosis, but they got the diagnosis on their own through online, Google it themselves, but after that did not seek help. So there are still a gap between the knowledge of the public about mental health, mental illness. There are two different things, yeah? Mental health and mental illness. And when they want to seek help. when they seek help, whether they went to the right person or the right agency who can help them. So the pathway of care is still not very clear. So that is the reason we need to create more awareness, to engage more people, to increase the mental health literacy in the country. And we cannot do this alone. We have to work together. Treating or providing the services to patients with mental illness is not just belongs to Ministry of Health. Everyone, Ministry of Human Resource, Ministry of Education, Wanita. We need Doraemon and Ultraman also to help us if that is necessary. So there are a lot of things that it can be done. But what we need to do now, can we do something about it? Sometimes we talk, no action, also not good. Yeah, there are a lot, but everyone, without we realize, can contribute something.
Yes.
In order to help other patients or other people who having this psychological impact of this COVID and also MCO and also financial consequences after this. So that is the reason I happy to be part of this, because this is something that we can do to create more awareness, to be in the front line, to even though we are not frontliner, but to share with the public. So I think I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I learned a lot from Hani and Sajita, and hopefully to learn from all of you out there who are also an expert in your area. And then how can we work together?
Yeah.
I just want to say something.
Okay.
I just want to say this.
Okay.
I think, somebody was saying to me the other day that right now the best gift that you can give to a friend is an ear to listen and not say anything.
Yes.
Thank you, Hani.
Yes,
Thank you.
That's
Hani.
the one. That's the one. Okay. And another thing that you can do is, it's how to seek help. Sometimes when you go and tell people you need help, it's already like an impact to the individual, right? So the most important thing that you can look is how you look at mental health. Okay, if you preach but you don't believe and you have the stigma, it might not go far. So it needs to start from you. And then there's a lot of telecounseling out there that you can start to advocate. You can post and tell people, it's okay to call, it's okay to reach out, and that is important. Yeah. All right. So the next question is from GD. Okay, my friend's company now is seeking every employee to conduct COVID-19 medical tests. How do we go about? So, should we have the doctor, a medical doctor, or psychiatrist?
Is the doctor?
Yeah, from the medical hospital.
I just want to know who's going to pay for that. If the company want to pay for that, please, that is the best thing that you can do for your employee. That will be the second best gift besides the skill to listen, as Hani said just now, to give a free test. I think but the problem is the reason why we do not test, all of us, because of the financial constraint. And then we have to be cost effective. If the person have no contact, there is no risk at all. I think it's a fair and follow strictly the social distancing. I think there is no reason to be tested. But if they want, and then they have a means to do that, who are we to say no, provided we have enough testing kits to do. So I think the answer to that, yes, if I have the means. But again, we have to balance out the needs of the test for people who really need at this moment of time, whether there is who need it most at this moment. I think we have to consider that factor as well, besides whether we can afford that or not. Yeah, so I think, because at the end of the day, what we need right now is how to have everyone to feel a little bit secure. Because in the moment of crisis, in the moment of pandemic like this, everyone's scared and then feel very insecure. Any strategies, any measures, anything that we can do to help the other person to feel they are a little bit safer, that is good enough already. I think that is important for us to think. Always think, how can I contribute? How can I give? Because all these good things is somehow we will get back. This is the concept, pay forward, right?
Yes.
So when we go to them, we're going to receive something back. And in fact, we don't expect also to get it back, because we just do. And just give first. And we're going to help others who are in need.
Okay. So I have another question right now from Trivana. I'm in HR. Is an essential service. So assuring the employee are not easy. The management is also still figuring out how best to handle this. Employees are seeking for many things, such as extra allowances. I notice that employees feel that extra money equals security. How do you suggest we can handle this better? All right.
Okay.
Do Hani wants to come in from the HR perspective?
Can.
Okay. So
sorry.
before you start, Hani,
Yeah.
so this is going to be our last question. Yeah.
Okay.
And from Dinas, you are leaving. Be back tomorrow. So because our session is till 11, so Hani gonna answer this question.
Okay.
And Dr. Hazli can, include more, and I can include more, and then we can wrap up so that we are prepared for the day tomorrow. Okay, Hani.
Okay, sure. A quick one. I think there's no hard and fast rule. Sorry, I have my cat here with me. Like I said, there's no hard and fast rule on how to go about this. It depends on what sort of engagement or how solid your engagement is with the employees all this while. For a fact that our friend here, Triwana, said that money equates to security, this is a reaction mostly to a lot of people, because without money, they can't do anything much. They have in their minds, how to pay for rental, bills, put food on the table, would they get a job? So money is a point of reference for security. It may not be necessarily true, but this is what usually is in everyone's mind. So my suggestion is, and you may take this with a pinch of salt, for the fact that you need to think a little bit more. But here's my opinion. Remember when we talk about more communication, more open communication, and as often as it is, and also including the employees on how to manage operation-wise or making sure the sustainability for the next 6 to 12 months. And money really isn't everything, although it is crucial, but making sure that there's an assurance of this job for the next 12 months. And this is where, as a person in HR, you need to be the best HR person right now. You bring out your best negotiation skills, your influencing skills. You want to be the popular HR person right now. So do your best. This is not a time to dilly-dally, hide behind policy. Policy is being done for a lot of reasons. But right now, we're in a business where it's not normal. So you need to think a little bit outside of the box, making sure everybody plays a role in making this decision. I can guarantee you'll be the best HR person in that now.
Okay. All right.
I'm just going to add a bit on what Hani has said. Yeah, I think what we need to, yes, true, money, food, they need to be on the table. If we look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs,
Yes.
we have to fulfill every step of that.
Every step,
but we have to ask also, what is enough?
Yes.
How much money is enough? So the problem is different people have a different level how they consider themselves as enough. So we have to reflect that, whether we thought that it's not enough, but to some people it's already abundant. So this is a time again for reflex and really need to change or focus. How are we going to continue our life after this conflict? Yeah, but I think we also have to remember that studies show that employees leave the company not because they just for the sake of financial
Yes.
reward.
True.
Because they want to be cared and appreciated. So this is the time when the company can do to make their employee feel that they are being cared for, not
Yes.
just about carrot, but sometimes being a good listener and then do a simple thing, say hi, even reduce their KPI and reduce the expectation is a kind of strategies that the top management can do.
Yes.
So this is the time how to be more empathy employer and how to be mindful about all the struggle that they. But again, this is the business. Business is the business. There is a thin line between whether what are we going to do with the company and how to make the people who work with the company feel that they are being appreciated.
Yeah.
So the last word for me, I'm not going to say any longer. For mental illness, if we mental illness like we treat any other illnesses, like physical illnesses, we don't have problems. But the problem is right now we treat people who have mental illness like they are COVID positive. People run away from them and then being stigmatized. And then people who also have mental illness also don't want to come and get tested, get assessed. Like the people who are positive COVID-19 or being exposed. Everyone so malu, I don't know why. Maybe again, this example of stigma attached to something that we do not know. So the importance of awareness, the importance of getting enough knowledge so that we understand, we are not scared. And then we are going to be with this person who have mental health problem and also mental illness.
Just to add on also, we need to understand that we are emotional beings. Okay, we cannot detach ourselves from not being emotional, be it a positive emotion or a negative emotion, or sometimes we are unaware about our emotions, right? So it's not always about the money, it's not always about the status or the level, but it's all about how do you connect with people. I think it's time also for employers to really go down to talk to your employees, to really get the feel of what they are feeling, their emotions. Because when you are up there, right, for you really need to come down for you to understand their emotion, listen to what they are saying, so that you are able to adapt and change or amend anything for the betterment of the organization and the well-being of the employees. So we need to play, and for employees, you also need to look at employers' point of view, because you have to work both ways. I always say, employer needs employee and employee needs employer. We work together. We are not an individual that we can stand alone and we can work all by ourselves. We need community. We need people to interact. And with that, we have emotions. Okay? The more emotions you have and it's not being validated, it will create mental health challenges. And later on, if you don't address those mental health challenges, then it will lead to mental illness, where you need to prescribe medication, you need to do a lot of other things. So the prevention, like what Dr. Hazli mentioned earlier, create the literacy, create the awareness, be an advocate, and Hani also was mentioning earlier, go out, reach out, and let people know that you are engaging with them. All right. So with this, any last word from both of you before we end, then we continue tomorrow? Okay. All right. So please do tune in. Yes, please do tune in tomorrow the same time. You can please share the link, ask people to log in, register, so that we are updated with the latest information. So all the best. Stay strong, and remember, reach out, speak out. Okay? So see you tomorrow. All the best. Take care. Bye, Dr. Hazli. Thank you.
Bye, Vita. Bye,
Thank you so
Hani.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Stay safe.